Horror gang, it's Tom here. Finally a nice almost summer's day, so I thought I'd do a little bit of filming in the garden for you. Yeah, the outside world is the best cinema. A bit of a weird place for a horror themed video, but yeah, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, so obviously it's a beautiful, lovely sunny day today, so naturally my mind wanders to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as you do. And really, I put up a story about it a couple of days ago, and it made me think how the reputation of the film has grown over time, and how obviously then that impacts the overall kind of mood and opinion of the film. And it had a really sort of tumultuous history. So obviously it was released in 1974, had a very, very brief run over here in the UK. The head of the BBFC, the British Film Censor Board, banned it in 1975, and it remained banned. It was illegal to show in public. It was one of the video nasties, which will definitely be a subgenre I'll be returning to in time. And it wasn't released uncut with an 18 certificate until 1999. So that is 25 years that the film was banned in the UK. During this time, the word chainsaw was banned as well from movie titles, so you couldn't have any films with the word chainsaw in the title. The BBFC did a couple of things like this during their time. So I know around the era of Bruce Lee, they really objected to the depiction of nunchaka on film, and so they would automatically cut any scene with nunchucks in them. I think until one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films or something really weird like that. But yeah, the BBFC and let's say imitable or household items tended to have a bit of a problem back in the day. So, you know, a film is finally released uncut after 25 years of being banned in the UK. You know, and by 1999 we'd already had, you know, Scream, and we were only a handful of years away from getting, you know, Saw, or even the very gory, nowhere near as tense Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, which was only sort of 6 or 7 years after the original was allowed to be shown. But I find it really interesting because the Texas Chainsaw Massacre itself is not a very explicitly violent film. It is heavily full of dread and fear and this sort of weird aura of madness to it, but it's not explicitly violent. I think people who watch it assume that it's going to be some absolute gore fest, and it's really not. I mean, it's a little bit more violent than the original Halloween, but definitely nowhere near as violent as the first Nightmare on Elm Street. So if you've seen that, you've already seen more blood and guts than you would have done in Texas Chainsaw. However, for me, that's its power. I mean, one of the reasons why it was banned in the first place was they did try to cut the film. They tried to cut it to get it to within an 18 certificate back in the 70s, but it's the overall tone of the film that they had an issue with. It was less individual sort of scenes of violence that could be cut or edited to make it more acceptable. It was the film's overall tone of violence that they really objected. Overall tone of violence, overall tone of terror and insanity that they objected to. And yeah, they found it impossible to cut to bring it in line with an 18 certificate, so it was banned. And as I say, I think that's one of the strengths of the film. The tone of the film is what sells it. It is, in many ways, I mean, if it was a more violent film, I think it would be a lot tamer, especially by today's standards. But one thing that doesn't really age in many ways is a film's tone and overall feel, and definitely from the opening narrative, you know, saying that this is based on real events that befell the characters, which, you know, isn't true. to the sort of the slightly low, well, slightly to the very low budget quality of it, it makes it feel all the more real for it. And obviously it's set in, the backwaters of America, where, there's so much space and freedom to kind of do whatever you want, that who's to say that this kind of thing didn't happen. And obviously it was based on the real life crimes of Ed Gein and other relatively famous American serial killers of the time. So yeah, I would, for those who haven't seen it, I imagine a lot of people haven't seen it because they think by the sounds of it, it's going to be like an insanely violent, like super scary film. It's not particularly violent at all. It is very intense. It is very scary. It is nightmarish is probably the word I'd use best to describe it. I would say that it is horror for all, despite its intensity, despite its terror. It is an iconic film and an iconic piece of, independent filmmaking. It is a very good film. It's very effective at what it does. It is one of the few horror films that I would say, is a genuine piece of film history. And as such, if you haven't seen it, one dark evening, when it's raining outside, give it a go. Let me know what you think. All right, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my beautiful sunny day out here. I've got a coffee down here by my side. Got my headphones in my pocket, so I'll listen to some tunes. And as always, much love. Thank you also to all of my new subscribers. Very much appreciated. This may be the first video that you have seen of me since you've joined, in which case I hope you've enjoyed. To my OG fans from all of 2 weeks ago, I hope you've enjoyed it too. Me and my slightly weird glasses are going to peace out. All right, farewell.